everybody, today I want to talk about the features boards that I have in Increaser so you could better understand if it worth adding it to your own product. At the beginning, Increaser had my contact somewhere on About page, and from time to time people reached out to me with their ideas. Yet after roughly 1 year I decided to introduce a features board so that more people will share their ideas and also give feedback to ideas that other people already proposed. So I implemented this board where people could propose a feature, enter the name and description. They could also upvote some feature and see what was already implemented, what I'm working on right now, and what is already done. Also, this feature board is like extra value for new visitors because they could see that the app is actively developed and their feedback matters. Initially, I was inspired by the product hunt and how they have this nice list of products, and I had something similar to it. But at the same time, I realized that people don't quite understand what it's all about, and at the same time I had a form on the right side where people could enter the idea without pressing a button or anything like that, but it resulted in me having a lot of messages with just random text that people come up with, so it wasn't really clear. So I decided to make it look something similar to Kanban board the users accustomed to from products like Trello or Notion. Right now it has 3 columns with to do, progress and done. All of these features are sorted based on numbers of upvotes, and you could increase the number by pressing this button, and of course you could propose a new feature, type a name and description. Content of the app, I use React, Redux and Redux Saga, and this is the main component. At the beginning I request all the features and then render them based on their status. And in order to get all these features, I have this Saga. So it's pretty clear here. We call API and request all features when you upload feature. There's also a specific mutation for this, same for re-upload, and also in order to submit features there is a Saga for it. And that's pretty much it. There is nothing fancy on the front end. On the backend I use AWS Lambda, Node.js, DynamoDB and GraphQL. So we can look at GraphQL schema. So here is a feature type with ID, status. It could be waiting for confirmation, in queue, in progress or done, name, descriptions, number of upvotes, and if users that request the feature upvoted it or not. And here we have a query for features and also a few mutations related to features. So here's like submit, re-upvote, upvote, and that's pretty much it. So in features query we get all the items from the DynamoDB table and then filter them and calculate if this feature was upvoted or not. Not the most efficient solution because we go over the whole list with IDs of users that upvoted this feature in order to determine if the current user who made a request upvoted it or not. And there's always trade-offs when it comes to NoSQL databases. One of the solutions is to store a list of features that user upvoted in its own item, so we won't need to go over features, but in that case we'll have duplication of data. The current implementation is kind of okay for Increaser, but if I would have more features and more upvotes, I would go and do something like that, where I will have the same data in 2 items in order to have less calculations. And there's no like rules when it comes to this, but you need to design based on your use cases where you will have more data or more calculations. How will I get to know that a new feature was proposed? And how the creator will receive an email when the status changes? To solve this problem, there is AWS Lambda that watches for changes in the features table. Let's take a look at it. So here we have a main function that handles changes, and for every record we call process record function. What it does is that it looks on changes, and if there was no item before, it notifies me via Telegram message. So here we have notify module, and it has only one function. So there's name, description, and owner ID. We create a Telegram bot. We take chat ID from environment variables, and we send an appropriate message that I receive in Telegram. And if status has changed, for example, if feature moved into progress, it means it was approved or feature is already implemented. There is an email module that uses AWS SES in order to send appropriate message. So we have feature moved into progress, feature done, and they reuse this function that takes template for HTML. We could find it in templates folder. It takes this HTML and replaces name and content. That's pretty much it. Look at the done column. I could see that a lot of features were proposed by me, and I was the one who implemented them without actually paying that much attention to how many people upvoted them. Also, there were a few features, two features that I implemented, but after some time I removed them. So I wasted time into creating them and deleting them, but it was my fault because I haven't thought out if this is right app for these features, and they should have been implemented in the first place, but I wasn't thinking that much about the product, and I was doing wherever people propose here. But some of the proposed features were actually good, and right now I actually don't pay that much attention to the board. There could be some interesting ideas, but I understand that people that propose features do not actually think that much about it. They have ideas, they propose it, but I should spend much more time in order to understand why they had this idea in the first place, and if the product is the right place for this. Maybe they would be better off using something else, and Incruiser is not about specific features. For example, this relaxing music, I mean, it's not the right place for Incruiser to add this feature, right? And I will most likely never add it. And some other features like this, for example, to-do list, I'm not going to add it because there's a bunch of to-do lists out there and there's no need for an extra one. So as a product person, this is your accountability to take ownership of this part and figure out what is really matters. It's good to listen for feedback, but it is your job to think through this and understand if a specific feature fits into your app. Take care.